In these problems, we have some decimal subtraction to do, and they're not really set up for us. The very first thing you need to do when you're subtracting is stack them on top of each other and make sure the decimal points are lined up. That's going to put all your place values in the appropriate places. So 7.9 and then 4.852. So decimal points are lined up here. That means the ones are above the ones, the tenths are above the tenths, etc. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is if you're left with these awkward spaces at the end of a number, you just fill them in with zeros. 7.9 is the same as 7.9 and as many zeros as you want to tack on after it. So you're allowed to do that. And this is going to make the subtraction a little bit easier for us to do and more familiar looking. Okay. So now we subtract just as we would with any other kind of numbers. For the time being, you can ignore the decimal point. Right off the bat, we have 0 minus 2, and I can't do that because 0 is less than 2. So I would borrow here, but I can't because it's also a 0. So I guess I would have to borrow from here. So I'm going to take 10 away from there and put it here. That turns that into a 10. But then I still need to borrow for this one, so I'm going to borrow 10 from there, which makes it a 9, and make this a 10. So because I had 2 zeros in a row on top, I had to do double borrowing, kind of 2 steps there. But now I think we're ready to subtract. So 10 minus 2, that's 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. 8 minus 8 is 0. And 7 minus 4 is 3. And then you just put the decimal point in the same place in the answer as it is up here. So 7.9 minus 4.852 is 3.048. Let's try one more like this. All right, now this time, one of our numbers doesn't even have a decimal point. So how do we line them up so that the decimal points are above each other? Well, if you see a number like this, just plain old 86, the decimal point would actually be right there if there was anything after the decimal point. So let's just put it there. So 86, decimal point. And then we can put our 2.2 here, 2.2. So now we got the decimal points lined up. And we're just going to fill in one trailing 0 here to make our subtraction problem work better. Okay, so we've got it set up right. Let's go ahead and subtract. I'm going to have to borrow right away because I have a 0 up here. So let's borrow from here and turn that into a 10. Now I think we're good. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. And the 8 has nothing to subtract, so we just bring it down. And then we put our decimal point in the same spot. So 86 minus 2.2 is 83.8. So that's a little bit of work with some trickier decimal subtraction.